Today we're going to get into a fun fountain that anybody can make, especially this time of the year. You know how I do different fountains out of different things, including soda bottles, and sometimes I cut them and sometimes I don't. And the hummingbirds love them, and yes, so do other birds as well. Well, today we're going to do something with Easter eggs, and you can find other things if there's no Easter eggs around, but there's tons of them right now, and they're so cheap. We're going to make a bubbler that the hummingbirds love, and it is so simple and fast, you won't believe how easy it is to make. I'm going to also go over some easy tips and tricks if you're having some issues with your fountains. Now, you can get Easter eggs anywhere. Dollar Tree, 99-cent store, Walmart, Target, everywhere, probably your grocery store too. And then you'll need a bucket and plates. I picked them up at the 99-cent store for $1.49 for 4 plates. You can get them at Dollar Tree too, and there are buckets everywhere. And the buckets, they're cheap. They're only 99 cents right now. That's all you need. And then you will need a solar fountain kit. You know I made this one a few weeks ago and the hummingbirds love it. Well, now we're going to make this one because the other one you had to buy the candy container. This, you're going to buy a whole package for $1 and you're going to have a whole bunch of these. What we're actually doing with this is we're making a bubbler. We're not going to make a sphere or something that's going to sit on top like the egg. We're going to make something that gently bubbles and the hummingbird can just jump in and take a bath. Again, so easy to make. Now here I use my soldering iron. I've got it plugged into a power unit. You can plug it in any way you want. I love these power units. I bought 3 of them, and I use them all over the garden and everything, and they're good for emergencies. Just go slow and make a hole. I'm only going to use half of the egg. You can use the smaller half if you want. I went with the bigger half, and go very slowly around because it melts really fast, and I prefer to do this outside. It's good to do it outside when you're melting plastic. Now that is a large jumbo straw. You can get those anywhere too, at the stores, Walmart, party stores, everywhere. A big package and they're cheap. And I've been using that for a lot of my fountains. You can go back and check out all the videos. Now, if you want, see how the straw is a little loose? We're going to fix that right now. And the easiest way to do it is with a glue gun. So I just plug it into my unit and heat it up because it's a power unit. And once it's heated, you're going to go very gently around the egg where you're going to put it. Put the straw in though, and go around the base of that egg. And it has not melted the plastic of the straw on me, and I don't have it on low temp. It's just a regular cheap old glue gun I picked up. Now what you're going to do is kind of give it a gentle turn so all that glue goes on the inside and the outside, and it's non-toxic. Don't worry about the birds. And hold it very straight. That's all you have to do. Just hold it straight. If you're in a hurry, I have found you can dip it in cold water if you want to. But it will cool down really quick. And now you have it as straight as possible. And don't worry if it's a little off, it'll still be fine. Look at that. Is that not cool? So now you've got the bottom of your egg, which is going to be a bubbler. And yes, Zoe always has to watch to make sure I'm doing things right. And if I don't, she bites me in the ankle. No joke. Now you've got a bubbler ready. And all we have to do is go set it up in a bucket. And the hummingbirds are going to love it. You will see. Now there is one more thing we're going to do. My solar fountain kits that I get have suction cups on the bottom, and they attach to my buckets. But in case yours don't, or you think it's too wobbly, this is why this one's different than the one I put up a couple weeks ago that you could go watch, where I used the egg from a candy. This is plastic plates. Now, if you don't have any plastic plates, you can't find them, and you should be able to find them everywhere, and they're cheap. Like this was a 4-pack for $1.49. I think I overpaid because Dollar Tree has them cheaper. Well, let me tell you something. You can use a Frisbee, and I've done that too. What we're going to do now is we're going to make a hole in the center where the straw is going to come through. This is going to hold the egg and the straw in place. In case your suction cup doesn't hold the solar fountain pump really good on the bottom of the bucket, this will hold perfect. Now go ahead and make that hole. And don't worry if it's a little too big, but you want to make sure it's big enough to get the straw in. Now I pushed too hard and I cracked my plate, but it doesn't hurt anything. It's still working fine. But be careful with it because this was really a cheap plate. Now there it is. See, now the straw goes through. And that's going to support it so your egg isn't going to move around when the hummingbird is just jumping around and taking a bath there, or even if a bigger bird comes and sits down on the plate to get a drink of water. It's going to hold it nice and secure. And be sure to go ahead and give it a good washing before we set up any fountain. Wash everything, your bucket, your plates, your straw. Just rinse it under water. You don't have to use soap and water. Just rinse it really good. Now, the next thing we're going to do from the underneath side, because it makes smoother holes on the top. It doesn't matter that much, but it does to me. We're going to make holes. Now, you want to make the holes where the water is going to go back into the bucket. So don't make it too far out depending on the plate you're using. You're using a bigger plate, make sure you stay closer to the center. But the big thing here is you can't make too many. So the more the merrier, the more the better, because that lets the water go back into the bucket so it can be pumped back up. And that is it. We are done. Look at that. You can make the holes bigger as well. If you wanted to put a wire on top or something else or a colander, you could use that too. And yes, I have done that too. But plates are easy. They're cheap and easy to find. And that's all there is to it. Now let's just go hook it up. So now we're going to hook it up with the egg. Now see how it goes through, and see there's my pump sitting on the bottom. It just so happens my pump will stick to this bucket, any bucket that's plastic. Now I did cut 2 pieces of the straw off on the bottom because the straw did not fit on my pump because the pump nozzle is smaller, too small for the straw. Not too big, but too small. So that works out really good. By slipping on 2 pieces of straw that I split, I put one piece on and then the other piece, and then I shoved that straw in really tight. It is not going anywhere unless I give it a good yank. Now it's going to support the egg, and it's not going to go anywhere. Is that not cool? I'm just trying to make sure it's kind of centered. But this is how you can stabilize it with a plate if you want. And it's easy. I love it. I make so many of these. Is that not cute? Now all I have to do is flip the solar panel back up towards the sun, and we are in business. And I absolutely think this is adorable. Look at that. And you don't have to do anything to the egg. A hummingbird can just come and land on the edge. It's smooth. Remember, these are for kids, and it's going to work out perfect. And look at this. The moment I put that out, that bird found it, and he was just wailing all over it. Looks like he was going to swim in the egg, and he just had a blast. He was out there for so long, I could not believe it. I mean, you can see it with your own eyes. And they keep coming to it. Now, as you see, the water goes onto the plate. It goes back into the bucket, and then it pumps back up the straw and back to the egg. And that is the cycle it goes until the sun goes down. It works fantastic. It's easy to make. The eggs come pre-colored. You can get fancy ones that are like decorated. It's been painted with a fancy design, or you could go plain like I did, because I don't know how I'm going to set each one up. I got a whole package. I can make all kinds of different fountains, and let me tell you something. I've already got more ideas. I hope I've given you some ideas. Go back and check all my other videos. You'll see how I put it together, and I've gone from using tubing to straws now, and I love the straws. But of course, it will depend on the fashion in which I am making my fountains, because once in a while I will need the tubing. Now, there's been a few questions here and there on fountains, and that's why I went over the plate with this one, because sometimes they're wiggly, and there's been other issues as well. If you feel that your egg or your item that you've got the water coming out of your bubbler is shaking too much, you can use marbles or fancy stones you can get from the dollar stores, and you can put that on the bubbler as I'm doing here. Just make sure you don't cover up the straw or where the water is coming in, but that will give it a little bit more stability, and it works really well, and it looks pretty, and the hummingbird can sit on top of the marbles or the rocks too when you have them in there. Another thing is some of our fountains can pump a little too hard, so you can turn them away, the panel, from the sun, and that will slow it down a little bit. If that doesn't work, there is another method. Masking tape or painter's tape. This way you can take it off. You can put something across the panel, and by adding on tape, it will slow the flow down. Some of the fountains have an adjustment on it, but the cheaper ones that we get generally do not, but that works. I hope I've given you tips and tricks. I have the link below in my description where I buy my solar fountain kits. They're generally between $10 and $20. It's good to check it out at least to see them so you'll know what you're looking for. Always feel free to ask me questions. I usually have some sort of idea, and if I don't, I'll throw it out there and see if somebody else does. So thank you, and I hope you enjoyed this, because I so love making fountains. You know, it brings in thousands of hummingbirds here, and I don't know, is that a good thing? Oh, I'm just kidding. With that, have a wonderful day, and don't forget to eat what you grow. Bye-bye, everybody. This is just too cute.